road to the World Championship takes its most unique step as we head to upstate New York for an oval race in the latest round of the 2023 Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup qualifying series. Hello everyone, welcome back to RaceSpotTV and to Porsche's Twitch as we get set for what is the wildest of the 6 rounds of this road to the World Championship. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, delighted to have your company once again as we make our way into this round. Live timing and scoring is available by heading to RaceSpot.tv/timing. What a week we had a week ago as we made our way into the Styrian Mountains and we made our way to the Red Bull Ring. It was the Altus Esports driver of Carlos Fenalosa that was able to come out on top, but it was with plenty of drama behind. Now, with some drivers already with a World Championship license secured in another discipline of road racing, they can focus their attention to this next 3 rounds, the pivotal rounds, as we decide who will be the 15 drivers that rise as Porsche contenders at the end of the month. Of course, after this, we make our way on over to the Nürburgring and then to Imola, which is, let's be real, the only regular round of the championship that we have, because every other round incorporates some sort of a unique track layout. Hockenheim, we went to the National A. We cut out effectively the hairpin at the heaviest hairpin that you've got, one of the major passing opportunities. Silverstone, ignore half the lap there. Same with the Red Bull Ring. And at Watkins Glen, no bus stop chicane and no boot section either with which to worry about. At the Nürburgring, it's going to be the Sprint Strecker format, which means that we ignore the mid part of the lap and the Dunlop hairpin. And of course, Imola, like I mentioned, the only semi-regular round that the drivers actually have to enjoy over the course of the season. That's what the schedule is. If you're joining us for the very first time, just a reminder on how we make our way to the 2024 Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup, because the top 15 out of last year's Supercup, or rather this year's Supercup, retain eligibility for 2024. Drivers from 16th through 30th do have to fight their way forward from the Contender Series, which will happen later on the iRacing Esports Network in 2023. There are also 5 drivers that may earn Contender Series eligibility by competing in regional Porsche Esports competitions, such as the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Brazil or even the Porsche Carrera Cup Esports Great Britain. They will all be joined by the top 15 in the qualifying series, which is open to anyone to enter. All you need is the requisite iRacing license. 15 spots, no matter which split of competition you are in, are on the line, and the splits will come into play. We'll talk about that in just a moment's time. Here's the results out of 2023's Super Cup, because there are some big names on the right-hand side of that screen. The likes of Jamie Fluke, Max Benneker, Bobby Zelensky once again, Thomas Tatala. I see Simona Mura-Marchenu's watching on RaceSpotTV, has jumped into our chat. Those are strong drivers that will have to go through the Contender Series. The likes of Gustavo Ariel, who won the very final round of the championship to ensure his top 15 eligibility, will be very much grateful that he can watch on from the sidelines. That's the state of the drivers that have already competed, the drivers that are watching on. Who are the drivers that have been out there for the previous 3 weeks? Parker White leads the Apex Racing team in the Academy colors with 1,117 points, almost a good 30-40 points clear of the young Bryn Collins. Michael Yanni's in 3rd, Xander Reed then in 4th with Matthias Nojaj, Job Stewart, Victor Miranda, Nicholas Veroni, Carlos Fenalosa, and Rasmus Christiansen, the rest of the top 10. In that list, Bryn Collins, Xander Reed, Job Stewart. 3 drivers who have not been seen in top split competition, but who have been making the most of the 2nd and 3rd splits to get points onto the board. That might be crucial when it comes to the end of the season, when we're talking about who is eligible to be at the Contender Series, but we've got a long way to go, of course, before we get there. Qualifying is underway right now. The drivers have the track to themselves, 8 minutes and 2 laps with which to go flying. Of course, in this sort of a session, given that we've got 8 minutes and a lap time of just around 66 seconds, we're not going to need all the time, but it's only Przemysław Lemonek that really has yet to set a time. He flies his way over the crest. There's a little bit of a bump on the entry into the outer loop as well, and then just trying to manage and massage the car. using the runoff, which is allowed, a NASCAR-style line on the run into the penultimate corner. How brave do you want to go here? One thing that you're also always talking about is setups. What compromises have the drivers made? And in the Drago Racing entry, the number 19 is going to head its way to the line. Power out of the final corner. And for the final lap time to be thrown onto the board, Przemysław Lemonek with a 106.253 jumps inside of the front 3 rows and is going to line up alongside Chris Lullum on his return to the competition. So we have about 2 minutes with which to burn because a couple of drivers invalidated their second flying attempt, while Lemonek elected to use his first lap as the flying lap. Second lap, excuse me, as the flying lap. The first lap as a warm-up lap. It was a bit counter for a handful of the other drivers. Luke McEwen sits on pole, though, and that is an important spot for the Apex Racing Team driver because he's in 12th, and after one very bad round over at Silverstone, where he was the cannonball on lap number 1 that instigated all of the drama, he needs to join Parker White and Michael Yanni up towards the front in terms of feeling confident. One drop round is allowed. That is always pleasant for the drivers to know that in 6 weeks they get the chance to fall flat on their faces once. Definitely not something that you want to be counting on by any means. It's Rasmus Christensen just inside of the top 10 in that VG Racing Esports car that will be second. And then Parker White. I mean, this seems like a race destined for Parker White to come out on top in, because the eNASCAR star represents Tony Kanaan's esports team in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Surely this is going to be his chance to run from third, ride potentially with Michael Yanni back in 8th, Luke McEwen up in 1st, and to very possibly have a chance of winning this race. 30 seconds still to burn. Of course, like mentioned, not all the drivers finishing up the laps means that we get the opportunity for the clock to tick down, for the drivers to continue to sweat. It's those nervy moments before they take to the grid, they look to the lights, and they wait as one by one the red lights come up, and then the green and the clutch gets dropped. Qualifying in the books, it's the Apex Racing Team that are on top. It's Luke McEwen that's going to walk away with the pole position here in upstate New York, but now there's 22 laps of racing left to be played out. Let's run you down through the starting grid for round 4 of the 2023 Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup qualifying series. It's McEwen with the green rims on the number 2 that will bring us to the green, 106.136. Going to be the benchmark there, while Rasmus Christensen alongside less than half a tenth off the pace. Parker White will look to impress in the Academy colors back in 3rd, while Cody Deeth brings Williams Esports into the front 2 rows. Przemysław Lemonek and then Chris Lullum 5th and 6th spots after Lullum returns after missing the last week of competition. Jakub Maciejewski behind his Drago Racing teammate alongside the 3rd of the Apex Racing Team contingent, Michael Yanni, on the outside of row number 4. Josh Thompson, Matty Siepel are 2 drivers that enjoyed some rotten luck at the Red Bull Ring, will round out the top 10, while Matt Caruana, who is just competing in the Prodigy Racing League, is 11th with Bernardo Faria in 12th. Behind them, as we continue to make our way through, Dino Lombardi in the Altus Esports car has his teammate and race winner Carlos Fenelosa for company. Nicholas Veroni, David Bosga, Nicholas Laubish, and then Sean Campbell. 310 separating the front 9 rows. It's Dino Felipe, Leon Rudinger, Neto Nascimento, Lauren Benzo, Luke Browning, and then Timo Winter. Your 24 cars that get ready to do battle at Watkins Glen International. One by one, the drivers getting themselves lined up and getting focused to the task at hand. It's one of those races where you expect the unexpected and where technique gets thrown out the window, racecraft comes to the forefront. It's going to be, for the likes of Chris Lullum, paramount to make sure that a good result is on the cars here today. Once again, though, half of the qualifying series in the books. The engines roar in symphony. The lights drop. We're racing at Watkins Glen for round 4 of the 2023 Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup qualifying series. Luke McEwen's going to get challenged on the run down in through the 90, but he's going to clear, lead the field up through the 100 feet of elevation as we cycle our way up through into the outer loop for the very first time. There is some side-by side-by-side battling, but most drivers recognizing that they've got to be smart at the start of a pack race. Cresting over the top now and funneling in towards the braking zone. Teammates working together. It's Luke McEwen and Parker White that for a moment were running in Symphony 1 and 3, but around the outside, Rasmus Christiansen in the VG Racing Esports entry will try and rip away the lead. Plenty of battling as we squibble our way on towards that runoff area. McEwen's going to be able to assert himself into the lead momentarily, but now Christiansen has the inside into the penultimate corner. The opening lap of this race, not going to see the lead unchanged. Rasmus Christiansen will lead at the end of the opening lap, with Luke McEwen, Cody Deeth and Parker White the rest of your top four. Once again, we get a bit of a change in the conditions that the drivers were expecting. It is 10 degrees Celsius cooler than what they were expecting. It was 10 degrees Celsius warmer when we went racing at the Red Bull Ring a week ago. You can see, I think it was one of the Drago racing cars, maybe Lemonette, running a little bit wide. It's up once again. Over the top that we go. Carlos Fenalosa is headed off towards the pit lane. But outside of that, no drama on the start with which to speak. It's going to be Cody Deeth that cuts back into line, and there's the charge from Chris Lullum. He's up the inside of Parker White, and as Chris Lullum tries to ensure that he grabs maximum points after already missing a round of the championship, he gets through on White, and now it's going to be the number 8 defending from Maciejewski. It's going to be the age-old compromise. Going on offense maybe leaves you vulnerable for an attack from behind. We saw contact through the final corner here last year in this race to settle who came out on top. Oh, we got a victim. It's the Simufy Esports number 21 of David Bosga. That becomes the first driver to have encountered any sort of issues in the race, with the exception of Fenalosa, that has come down to pit lane and does not seem to be leaving. Saw the fastest lap. Switching around, currently sits with Dino Lombardi. Contact, by the way, we're being told was between Fenalosa and Lombardi on the opening lap. That's why the Altus Esports car is on pit lane. Lullum poked out for a moment. We're not going to go 3 wide, but Luke McEwen's going for the lead around the outside. Long way around, McEwen makes it work. Cody Deeth now up and under with Chris Lullum in the red line number 3. Just look at the pictures as they come down onto that back straightaway in effect. Vince Cusi says infinite racing. I say, well, infinite chaos might be a better way to put it. They're getting close to the wall as they come to the end of lap 3 of 22. Once again, the fastest lap is going to get jockeyed around, but let's quickly go and see if we can pick up a couple of replays. Just on cue, hold that thought. Nicholas Laubich around at the back of the 90. So more drama there, and it's going to potentially mean some separation. Caruana in 11th, Campbell in 12th. 1.2 splits them. The race clutch car on the inside. Matti Siepela's Sontec number 6 is now on the outside and trying to do what McEwen did at the front a lap ago. They continue to fight, by the way. Christiansen now back up to the point. But Siepela's got to try and hold on to this position. If he doesn't, Browning, Veroni in some very colourful entries will try and squeak on through. There's fighting everywhere that you look. McEwen finally going to potentially concede. Off-track penalty is going to be something that we talk about as well. If you get 17 incident points, you get a drive-through. 25, it's a disqualification. And if we're going to go almost 4 wide in towards turn number 1, these drivers are going to be very much concerned about that. Christiansen's left side shows some damage as well. It's 2 wide, 2 deep up through the S's. It's not though for the lead. McEwen's clear. Christiansen, Lullum, Deeth and Maciejewski alongside. From up above, you see the slipstreaming games that get played. Christiansen now may go from 1st to 4th if he's not careful. He's going to try and maximize his entry to the corner. Now pinches Lullum down to the apex. The red line, number 3, can't really do too much. He's got to be careful as the Dane holds on. Maybe calm enough for us to grab a quick look at the replay here. Oh, and it's almost self-inflicted, one would say, for the Simufy Esports car to go around. What happened with Nicholas Laubish, though, is we'll try and pick that one up as well. So down the hill, Laubish comes in from a different country, a different zip code, and to be totally fair to Matti Siepola, I don't think Nicholas Laubish is making that corner without some help anyway. Not the only bits of drama we've had in the opening 6 laps of this one. As mentioned, the two Altus Esports teammates colliding. Carlos Fenalosa, winner at the Red Bull Ring, watching on now from pit lane. Cody Deeth wants no part of this. He pops out of the draft. Chris Lulham's up to second and pushing Luke McEwen into the outer loop. Christensen still stuck on the outside and surely not going to hit those cones. The poor Marshall's going to have to go back out and set them up for the next lap around. But Christensen still has that little bit of overlap. Chris Lulham is now +4 positions on the day. We knew that he needed to maximize his performance, and boy is he doing so. They're all filtering now almost to the pit wall as well. Do you feel the tension building? Once again, climbing up through 100 feet of elevation. The fastest lap is sat all the way back in 15th position, where Lauren Benzo currently has the purple check next to his name. Rasmus Christensen's not going to be able to get past Chris Lulham without any help. Lulham's teammate Josh Thompson, though, is trying to get up into the top 5. He's got Parker White on his outside, and this is where the teamwork maybe will come into play. Michael Yanni might not go too aggressive on Parker White in the Apex Racing Academy and Apex Racing team entries. But at some point, will the pressure from Matt Caruana just be that little too much? Riding off the back of the Williams Esports #1 of Cody Deeth. You can just see breaking the toe slightly, but more in search of advantages further up the line. Lemonek's going to go side by side with Sean Campbell behind Ascend for Lauren Benzo, trying to get up the inside of Dino Filippa. This is all outside of the top 10, and it compromises the momentum and the run up the hill. Sean Campbell behind now Lemonek's #19. As we filter back onto the straight at the top of the hill once again. Chris Lulham chops the nose off of Rasmus Christensen, and it means it's red line versus Apex at the front for the very first time. Lulham's been content to ride and to wait, but no longer. There comes the charge. Lulham's going to release off the throttle just for a moment there. Let's take a look, by the way, at what happened with Fenalosa and his teammate in towards the outer loop on the opening lap. And you got the Sontec car up the inside, and well, unfortunately for Carlos Fenalosa, I don't really think there was much that he could have done in that situation. Let's grab another look on board, but this time from Dino Lombardi's perspective, because in the second of the Altus cars, I think you'll just see looks innocuous, it feels all but when you're behind the wheel. Once again, Cody Deeth out of the draft. He wants no part of the shenanigans in towards the outer loop. Not even halfway through the 22-lap affair. We've still got, effectively, a train that goes back to 20th position. Leon Rudinger in the U-Race BR by Redragon #20 has sight of Luke McEwen. It is just a couple of pixels up the road, if we are being completely honest. Do not forget, live timing and scoring available at RaceSpotTV/timing. If you're trying to pick apart exactly where your favorite drivers are on this road to the World Championship. Down the hill into turn 1 once again, Michael Yanni and Matt Caruana were side by side for a moment. The number 11 tucks back in and now tries to get a better run down and out of the corner. Yanni's got to give the room. It's going to be, oh, contact. Somehow we survive. Faria from behind brings the momentum, brings the urgency as well. They're going to go 3 wide up towards the front, you'd feel, but it's 3 wide behind. Caruana covers off the Sontec car. Yanni covers off the U-Race BR by Redragon car. It's not to say there's no technique when it comes to the finesse that these drivers have got for the brake and throttle control with no driver assist. It's just that the level of racecraft is at another level compared to any other race on this road to the World Championship. And with only 10 laps complete, there's still a long journey left in front. You've got Lemonec Felipe side by side as Lemonec's charge continues. He's on the outside though, and Felipe's 13 bodies and wide. It's Sean Campbell that will take the jump and the advantage as a result. But that's the risk. To gain spots, sometimes you must put yourself in vulnerable positions. And Lemonec trying to fight his way back. After starting up there through the field, still has some work to do. The Drago Racing entry will pop out of line, as will the Sontec car. The bright blue and yellow. But no changes almost halfway through. As we hit the halfway marker, it also becomes that time when we talk about tire management. How many people think that we're talking about tires? Well, with conditions cooler than expected, maybe the setups have been built with slightly less camber, maybe we can be a bit more aggressive, but at the end of 21 laps, you will need to have some purchase underneath you from the 4 contact points to spool yourself to the end of the race. 11 laps complete, 11 laps to go. It's McEwen from Lallem and Christensen, the top 3. Lallem, the most impressive driver in the top 10 in terms of positions gained. He has worked his way up 4 positions so far. Once again, bit of a scramble as they head over the rise, over the bump that leads them into that outer loop. The side-by-side that has preceded this middle phase of the race, now all but gone. Realistically, these drivers just hoping to be there with a chance come the end. For the likes of Nascimento and Luke Browning, they've still got to fight to be in contention, really. 1.3 off the back of 15th spot. Nascimento and the Davina Esports number 23 flying the Brazilian flag. Under fire from Browning, who brings so much speed. Not sure how many drivers, by the way, just missed out on this top split that we have maybe become a little bit more used to seeing. The likes of Xander Reed and Job Stewart and a couple more have been racking up the points in 2nd and 3rd splits. Don't need to be in this top split to qualify. Just makes your life that little bit easier. Some drivers defensive, some offensive. As we head off once again over the bumps. Some drivers feeling the need to cover the inside. No more pronounced than Luke McEwen, where he is very, very aggressively covering things off. It's sometimes difficult to tell what sort of unique things drivers are doing in terms of setup. Can't really see if there's much of an offset from the steering with Luke McEwen, but sometimes what you do on the ovals is you'll run some weird cambers and toes. 3 wide, down through the 90. Michael Yanni gets passed by Matt Caruana, checks up Faria, Cipolla, and Felipe. Got Felipe that now is alongside with Matty Cipolla. Sean Campbell sit in the perfect spot possible. Campbell had some technical issues earlier, lost internet and power. Fortunately, no dramas today. He is the 22nd car in the 24 car field. just got in terms of iRating, and now potentially can get a top 10 in this top split. Lemonette tried to go around the outside of Campbell. That wasn't ever going to work. As we just continue to be backed up at this point in time. Train goes to 15th spot. And McEwen, in terms of lap time, is doing 6/10 slower than the fastest laps. Just watch it at the line this time on the left side of your screen. Fastest laps of this race are in the 1.6s. Lauren Benzo's fastest lap is a 1:06.5. Last lap for Lauren Benzo was a 1:07.6. It is a very different sort of a pace that is being run right now. Once we get to within maybe the last 3 laps, you'd think the intensity will build, and surely the action will start to kick off from there. Quite impressed by Cody Deeth. Has been staying out of trouble, popping himself out of draft. Not willing to get involved. The later into the race we go, though, the less opportunities you have to not be involved. And Cody is going to have to get the elbows dug in. The good thing is, it's not going to be an issue for him by any means. We've definitely seen the Australian be able to get the elbows out. There's Parker White. Late show of the nose, and Josh Thompson lets the number 8 slide on through. Might try and get the better run off the corner, but after Josh Thompson was meant to be karting last week, went to Craig Williams' house to do some driving and racing on the sim. Did not end in his favor, unfortunately. Got tangled up in some incidents in the mid part of the lap of the Red Bull Ring. You can tell here, one focus, get to the Contender Series for Josh Thompson. Doesn't matter what order you are in the top 15 of points. As long as you're in the top 15 of the qualifying series and you're eligible, you will become a Porsche contender. I say eligible because we showed the 2023 point standing. Brins Collins in the Supercup was 26th in points. He's second in the Supercup qualifying series. He's not going to count. He's already eligible for the Contender Series, so effectively, the cut line is going to actually be 16th. But that's a moot point, and we'll talk more about that come the final race of this qualifying season. Sun has decided to hide itself from existence. Conditions cool and cooler than any of the drivers anticipated. They thought it would be above 50 degrees Celsius. We've got the cloud cover to only have the track baking to 40 degrees Celsius. That means that we are probably about a second quicker a lap. Maybe not that dramatic, but somewhere in that ballpark. Question really becomes, what does that mean for the tire wear and the tire conservation? Parker White's not done. Josh Thompson first. Now Jakub Maciejewski. Looking from up above as the Apex Racing Academy car that maybe has been biding its time and saving tires goes a long way around, gets the better drive out the corner, and Parker White's into the top 5. Now Maciejewski gets passed by Thompson, maybe by Caruano as well. The bleeding not done and dusted. Thompson forces White wide. Goodness gracious me. Parker White still in 5th, but now with the squabble behind, that's brewing. Look at the queue. Thompson alongside with Caruana. Maciejewski battling with the U-Race BR by redragging car of Faria. 2 wide, 3 rows deep, almost 4 rows deep. Incredible stuff. And the best part, they do it all safely. It's Parker White, yes, in 5th spot, but now with 8/10 to close as we'll tick over to 4 laps to go. Dino Filippo's going to keep dropping, and he's going to be into the wall. big checkup now potentially coming. Not too pronounced. It was Matt Caruana, excuse me, that was into the wall in his number 11 red and white machine. Like expected, though, it is at the end when the intensity is rising. And now even Cody Deeth wants in on the fun. I say that, he's out of the draft once again. Parker White's going to close on this lap. All he needs is for the battle. Oh, goodness gracious me. Cody Deeth around the outside in front of Rasmus Christiansen. Can he get around the outside of Chris Lullam as well? No, he cannot. Redline and Max Verstappen's learnings trickling down to Chris Lullam. The door never opened. How is this going to play out? It will be 3 to go now at the line. A train still going to 15th spot. An Apex Racing Team machine leads the way. A Team Redline car tucked in behind. Williams, VG Racing Esports, the Apex Racing Academy, and then another Redline car. There's a nice healthy mix up towards the front. It also means no teammates truly can work together. Cody Deeth goes to the outside once again. He's going to get some help from Rasmus Christiansen. He's going to be alongside with Lullam into the braking zone. The Williams Esports driver sends it, commits it. And now with the bravery and the trust in Lullam to stick it around the outside, Cody Deeth has the inside into the penultimate corner. Is this going to let McEwen run away? No, because Chris Lullam tucks back into the queue and builds up once more. McEwen still has the mirrors filled. We're on to the final 2 laps. Answers in chat. Who comes out on top here? And could it be Parker White? Parker White on the inside of Rasmus Christiansen and now climbing back up into the top 4. Tire conservation is playing its part, and Parker White has done the best job of them all. Cody Deeth got the push from Chris Lullam, though. And as we run away at the very top of Watkins Glen, at the top of upstate New York, with new race leader, Luke McEwen might be back in 3rd. Cody Deeth will lead them out of the outer loop on the penultimate time of asking. McEwen's going to be pushing Lullam wide. Here we go. One final lap. And look at them in that battle for 7th as well. Matt Caruana's going to have to go aggressive. The battles have been slightly broken up. Cody Deeth has been cool, calm, collected, and now 1 lap away from winning on the road to the World Championship. Where do you even want to look? Parker White, Christiansen, they're still battling as they begin the climb of 100 feet of elevation. Christiansen will be in 4th for the moment, but now with little draft to feed off in front. Luke McEwen has led for 21 laps and counting effectively. Oh! Dino Filippa, I think, just got past Matt Caruana's stricken car at the front. McEwen goes the long way around. It's Lullam, though, that will take advantage of the slip-up. Cody Deeth didn't even have a challenge to worry about. My word, Parker White not done and dusted yet with Rasmus Christiansen and Josh Thompson. Another wild ride in upstate New York. Every time the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup comes here, there is drama. Cody Deeth takes full advantage of that, though, and Cody Deeth and Williams Esports are on top in the road to the World Championship. For Chris Lullam, for Luke McEwen, 2 drivers that knew they could not risk anything. With points already sacrificed earlier in the season, it came down to making sure they were on the podium at the end. Cody Deeth almost made me lose my voice as he burns it down in victory lane. That was a masterclass in racecraft. Not being content to fight at the early stages, Thieth waited till the very final laps with his tires in the window that he needed to be able to come out on top. The margin, just a quarter of a second at the end between him and Chris Lullum. Luke McEwen grabbing the final step on the podium. Absolutely incredible stuff. Rasmus Christensen slides to 4th, might be slightly disappointed, but a very impressive performance for someone already in the top 10 in points, while Parker White shows that oval nous and the expertise, saving the tires to get into the top 5 at the end. Josh Thompson in 6th finishes in front of Bernardo Faria for the U-Race BR by Redragon team. Jakub Maciejewski for Drago Racing in 8th finishes in front of Lauren Benzo, the biggest mover on the day, plus 13 positions. 10th went the way of Dino Filippo, while Sean Campbell ended up being scored in 11th. Matti Siepola at least finishes this race in the top 15, but for him and from his perspective, 12th might not be good enough. Michael Yanni drops down, but he can afford to after winning at Silverstone. In front, though, of Przemysław Lemonek, Luke Browning, Nicholas Verone, Leon Rudiger, Timo Winter, Dino Lombardi, and the Neto Nascimento. Still on the leading lap for Nicholas Laubish and David Bosga. Matt Caruana will grab a look at what happened to him on that final lap of the race. Carlos Fenelosa, the other retiree, unfortunately, two drivers that would have been hoping for more, but one that got to show some speed, the other one that didn't even get past the opening lap and got tangled up, no fault of their own, in drama with their teammate. Here's the replay. Here's the look at what happened on the final lap in its contact with the U-Race BR by Redragon car, and then that's why Siepola dropped down in the end. That little bit of extra contact that he had ended up being the determining factors. Watch the entire sequence just for a moment here, and you'll see that up over the crest, just being pinched maybe. The 11 tries to come across, and from Siepola's perspective, even with Caruana locking it down, there wasn't necessarily much to be done. And so that's a look at what happened out there in the closing stages, and boy, what a closing stage it was for us to witness for these drivers. And Watkins Glen, we did not expect it to disappoint, if we're being honest. We always knew that it was going to be exciting, it was going to be pretty interesting. Well, it delivered in more ways than one. Next up, though, on the road to the World Championship, a trip to Germany. We land up at the Nürburgring and the Sprintstrecke layout. It means that, of course, slightly different Grand Prix form to what I think many will be accustomed to. It does not mean, though, that it is not a suitable venue for racing. Still, of course, have the long pit straight. You have the arena section with which to work. It's after that you get a little bit more unfamiliar, I think, with how you're going to race after that. Let's also take a look at the schedule and just remind you that just 2 more rounds to go on this road to the World Championship after this. Time is running out to make a statement. 1 drop round is left. Yes, the drivers are allowed in the 6 weeks to take 1 round of the championship and say, no, that was my worst round. Do not include it. You do not want to be relying on it, though. That is why, for Lullum and McEwen, the results that they got today are oh so important. For now, though, it's time once again to bid you farewell. These Saturdays always fly by on the first leg of the road to the World Championship. The 2023 Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup qualifying series never disappoints, and its stop off at Watkins Glen not only robbed me of my voice, but showed us just why these drivers are amongst the best in the world. 2 weeks away from rising with 15 Porsche contenders, one step closer we got today. On behalf of the entire team at Porsche, for the team at RaceSpotTV, my name is Arjuna Kankipati, signing off for now and saying so long until we land up in Germany in 1 week's time.